Hey guys, Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to this week's episode. I'm Shafina.
Hi, I'm Naseem. Assalamu alaikum.
Last week we spoke about Valentine's Day and we had a topic on that. And we promised you that on our next episode we will actually talk about do people actually really know what they're looking for, what they want? And I'll let Naseem add on to that one.
Yeah. So, welcome everybody. It's great to be back. So I'm really looking forward to today's episode. I think it's a really strong one. And in my support sessions, I get asked this all the time. It's like a regular thing. People say, "Do you know what? I was attracted," or I like that they were in a similar profession, or their mindset was similar to mine, and look, there was a click. We got on. There was a spark. All these things, and they just go with that. They flow with that. But the real true things that actually help a strong relationship is built is on the things we were talking about, on love, on trust, on loyalty, on commitment, and understanding the person from another perspective, or their perspective, and seeing, do you agree to disagree, etc. So what's your thoughts on that, Shafina, in terms of how much do you think people really think about what they need in terms of a relationship surviving, or are they sort of falling into relationships thinking that this is what they need?
So, I mean, when you were listing the things about, people have a similar profession in common and they clicked, immediately the first person that came to my mind was myself, in all honesty. And I was like, that's what I've been doing. That's where I'm going wrong. So honestly, I mean, I can only speak for myself. Uh, I've, I guess I've always tried to click with someone and, go along similarities and think, oh, they need to be like this or similar to this, have a similar, I thought they had a similar mindset, and then ignored anything else. And I didn't ask enough questions. Obviously moving forward now, I've learned a lot along the way. However, and then it goes too far and then people are like, oh, what happened, I thought we are this, and then you realize, oh, this is not good. And the fact is that that will keep happening until you learn to actually ignore this click or thing and actually look at the bigger picture and really understand, again, like we mentioned about needs and wants, understand what your actual needs are and then what the wants are. And then I feel like you can click with a lot of people. You can click with people, I click with you. Obviously it's a different story, but it doesn't mean you go, oh, that's the person. You really got to take your time, from what I've learned, and understand that commitment, understanding, and these questions must be asked. And also, you cannot accept wishy-washy answers or half answers, or I'll tell you later, or wait till we get married, then I'll tell you, that kind of stuff, because it happens. And I feel us as women, I mean, obviously there's brothers and sisters listening here, but I feel like us women, we're just kind of more like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know, I might be speaking just for myself. And you just think, okay, oh, okay. You just, because I don't know, I don't know if that answered the question, but
No, it does. It does a lot. And I have a good second part to that same question. Do
mm,
you think that an emotional connection is established before you really know what that relationship's going to look like? And could that be another barrier of thinking the emotional connection is there, so everything else might fall into place? What's your thoughts on that?
so my thoughts are guilty of doing the emotional connection before anything else. What I have learned is that uh, love, or whatever you want to call it, is blind. I've realized it's a chemical reaction in the brain, which actually stops you from seeing certain things. It's like a scientific thing. If I've looked into it a little bit, just a little.
So,
Uh,
so you're saying love is blind?
Love is blind. It really is, scientifically as well. So you get these emotions, and it's so easy to do that. We are emotional people. Humans have emotions, and that's totally natural. I feel that what we need to do is uh take a hold on that. Put that on the back burner and think, okay, try and think logically as well. As much as you have these feelings or emotions, connecting with people, that's all nice, but why not say those emotions for someone that is more suitable and the needs are there, those core values and morals. Everyone's got different ones, you know, there's no right or wrong answer. It just depends what fits you. And I suppose it goes back to the point of, how do we figure that out? You know, I figured mine out now, having, you know, quite a number of support sessions with yourself. And I suppose people could have support sessions with you. You know, that's one way to find out. So yeah, like, I mean, how do you really know what your needs are?
I think if you take it back right to the structure, it's like you've got a building, you take
Mm,
it right back to the brick. So you take away, you know, all the plaster, the paint, the lights, the carpet, you know, the mood, lighting, all of that. You take all that away, take it back to brick. I think everyone should really think about, what is my bricks and cement? What is that? So for one person it could be this, for another person it could be that, and your decision could be shaped by the life that you've had. So if you've always been with someone that's not reliable, you realize, oh my god, reliability is so important. Or
mm,
if you've been with someone that you've always had to do things for yourself and you've not had support, you think, oh my god, support is so important. Or if you've had somebody who's been sort of doing their own thing and doesn't include you in their family, and isn't as family orientated as you, then the social aspect of your life would be not the same. So it's about painting a picture of, what are the most things that are my bricks and cement that I want to build my relationship on. And then yeah, I can add the plaster, I can add the paint and the sofas. And I'm going through house renovation right now. So
yeah, everything's great analogy.
it's all happening for me. The plasterers are here and stuff like that.
Oh
But it's true. It's like, add the nice things on later, and just
Mm,
make sure the core values are there. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Shafina. So yes, of course, you can't scare anybody. You know, it's like a timid little cat. You can't jump in. So maybe you need 2, 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks of just general conversation, chit chat. How's your day going? How's life going? And then you see from small things that you do have things in common. You know, it is easy to talk to this person, but soon after that 4 week mark, 6 week mark, you kind of need to see, okay, how do you feel about this, and how do you feel? And remember, I've sent you those list of questions that I go through, connecting questions. So it's picking the most important ones for you and thinking, right, I'm going to ask this, see how he responds on that. Do we have the same viewpoint? Is this
mm,
important, etc.? And then moving forward, it is important. Like, for example, there's so many coaching sessions I do, and people say to me, oh, I've just realized that I lost myself in this relationship. I was just giving, giving, giving. And I thought to myself, it's my job to take care of my spouse, nobody else's. So one person in the relationship just puts in so much effort and does so much forgiving. The other person, unfortunately, then could take advantage of that as well. So it's understanding early on that, by the way, I need care as well. And I had a coaching session with one of my clients this morning. I'm like, you can't clap with one hand. You just can't clap with one hand. If you're going to take this further, there needs to be two hands clapping, because it's gonna stop or go stagnant, or at some point fall down, if the equal effort isn't made from both sides. What's your thoughts on
I I mean, definitely, like, you know, you can't clap with one hand. It takes two to tango. So I feel I understand that. I feel that, and you know, I always kind of, when we have our sessions, I reflect on myself as well, and I see where I've gone wrong and what I could have done better. You know, it's all a learning journey and things like that. Though it's, if you can match each other's efforts, then yeah, you've also got to want to match each other's efforts. And I feel that if people are getting to know each other and maybe someone isn't, you know, helping you clap, or, you know, putting in the same efforts, and then maybe that's a sign as well. You know, just, and I feel people should be okay with that and be like, okay, this isn't the right one. Chalo, fine. Let's not waste each other's time. I Going back to the emotions, if you can hold your emotions back and you know, try not to take it to heart. Like, I come from an acting background, so rejection is a normal thing. You know, we get rejected all the time, and you just kind of like, okay, Jello, it's fine, I'm not the right fit for that role or something. So I suppose I would say, from my sort of analogy and way of looking at it metaphorically, is I suppose see it as, it's not the right fit for you, not the role for you, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And if you're trusting, our creator, then you're going to trust that, okay, the right one will come.
Yeah, trust the process for sure.
Trust the process. And I mean, there's 7 billion, God knows how many people in the world. What are the chances of you finding it on the first one or the second or the third? And if that person isn't for you, there is definitely someone out there for you. But yeah, like, again, if they're not matching, then it's okay. I feel like it's just let it go. Say, hey, you know what, it's cool. And no hard feelings as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
So
allow people.
I just want to pick up a point you were saying, Shavina, and you were applying it to your work, which is projection. The way that my mind works and how I work in my support sessions is I don't allow the word rejection to ever be used in any
Okay.
context, because it isn't rejection, it's incompatibility, especially when it's to do with relationships. If you're not compatible, as you said, bail out early, gracefully bail out early, because you're not compatible. If someone says no to you, remember they're doing you the biggest favor, because they can see that they couldn't make a life with you. So why would you would want to make a life with someone who doesn't want to put the effort in? They're telling you, I'm out. You should say, do you know what? Jazakallah. Thank you for letting me know that. And that's like the best news you can have. Because if you are not clapping with two hands, there's only one person who's doing all the hard work, which in a lot of marriages is going on. It's in my divorce therapy room, coaching room, premarital, postmarital coaching, that it's a common
Mm.
thing. One, either male or the female, are putting in a lot more effort, and the splits usually like 80-20. you know how is that ever going to work?
Mm.
And it will be one day the straw will break the camel's back, and that person putting the 80 will be there no more you know
No, I definitely hear that. And moving forward, I will not use that word. I'll leave it to my industry. So no, incompatibility definitely is a thing. And it's okay.
Yeah.
It just means you'll be compatible with someone else,
Hmm.
and they will be too. It doesn't mean that you're both not fit for marriage or anything like that. It just means you two, but specifically those two people, is not the best fit.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to I think my first point was in the introduction episode when I mentioned, just because two people are Muslim doesn't mean they should be getting married together, and this is the lesson, obviously, that I'm like learning and going through the process and everything. So yeah, I feel like you mentioned, looking back and reflecting on oneself and things that we've been through, you think, oh, what is important. And I remember, actually, you mentioned to me where I would spend an hour a day to myself. You encouraged me to do that. And I feel a lot of us don't do that. We don't give ourselves time. As soon as we wake up, we pick up the phone. We allow everyone into our bedroom, the whole social media into our room, in the first thing in the morning, into our bed. We're just like this. And, I suppose it's about breaking those habits and actually giving yourself that time, giving yourself, you're allowing your thoughts to process, allowing you to understand yourself, thus having time to reflect back and think, actually, what do I actually want? What are my actual needs? What are the things I cannot live without or need to live with? That's what I feel.
Yeah.
um that will help a lot of people. I hope that helps anyone listening,
Yeah.
to get
I think
clarity.
definitely. I think that definitely you have an understanding of why you've chosen that relationship, and you've chosen your pros, which you absolutely love. And then there will be some cons which you can live with. But your pros are like so important, you know?
Mm.
And maybe another thing that's in one of my sort of coaching slides is I encourage people to discuss, maybe not early doors, but along the lines, is how you grew up, like what the importance of, I hear you speak about your childhood and upbringing, your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your siblings, how you felt as you were growing up. Did you feel that your parents did a good job raising you, like what were the key principles you grew up with. That can tell you an awful lot about the person that you're talking to, of their dynamics of their family. So they could be gung ho on everyone has to go for Eid dinner, or everyone has to do this, or everyone has to do Tarawih together, Ramadan together, but the rest of the year you don't know who's sick or who's well, what's going on, and it's just certain points that need to. It's almost like an obligation. It's not, that relative's your relative all year long. Where are you the other months of the year? Are you making a point of checking in? And is it something genuine, or is it something that like we all need to do now? It's like a family gathering and it's a must that we're all there, you know? Is the thought
Mm.
process on that? What's your thinking on that?
Uh, Obviously, that's another thing. Again, you've got to know the person. Um, and I kind of want to say as well, I suppose we don't want to be judgmental on it. We don't want to judge people, "Oh, they've come from that background," or, he or she's from there, so that means this. I think
Oh no,
maybe,
I don't mean from a judgmental. Please,
yeah.
if you pick that up, I apologize. I'm talking more from a habits perspective, like
Okay.
someone's habits and someone's approach. Because someone's habits and approach are directly, I think when my son was at uni, he was doing a paper that said, children are not a product of the upbringing. I went, okay. And he started and he kept looking, and it was day 2, day 3, and he kept coming through and sitting with me going, I don't think I'm going to be able to write this paper. I'm like, because every time I think about like myself, am I a product of my environment? I am. Like I go to Mashhad because like you dropped me there from a child. I'm studying to do this, and I got to uni because you're encouraging me to study, and I do these things and help my sister and clean up and tidy and try and cook because you're instilling these values in me for tomorrow when I get married, for my wife and I am. He goes, I actually can't write this paper because I'm a product of my environment. So it was like a real kind of eureka moment for me, thinking, oh, and it made me, because you just go get up and do things and have your day, and do you really stop and think about it? Most people don't. Yeah.
No, definitely, definitely. It is true. And I suppose sometimes it's about learning about yourself, why we do the things we do, why have we done these things for so long, or things like that. Like I mentioned, I'm on a journey working on myself, reflecting on myself, and there are certain things that I'm like, oh, suppose I could work on that. That's not the best option. Um, and yeah, maybe some of it comes from growing up or childhood or things, and you create certain like habits. That's true. That is true. And I suppose other people that have come from certain upbringings, they may have picked up certain habits or ways that you probably didn't think about or can come into play. No, that's it's another eye opener for me.
Yeah. Something to
Yeah.
think about. Like I said, I'm definitely not coming from the judgmental perspective. We're talking about, our topic is, do people think deeply enough before they make a decision to be
Mhm.
someone's life partner? Do they think deeply enough, or are they just rolling with the tide? You know. So,
Well,
so our sort of
mm,
topics that we're
yeah.
bringing up is, at what point in the tide do we stop and take note? Like, at what point do we take stock, or do we take stock at all?
I feel from the beginning. Now looking at it, I feel like from the beginning we need to be aware of this, not allow going with the flow, see how it goes, chalo. And then you're so far deep into it that you almost feel obliged to stay in it. And then you start to ignore all the things that are really important. And before you know it, you've gone way far too deep in it. And then it's like, then it explodes, I feel. This is, so I think from the get-go, just be wary and understanding, and again, hold your emotions back, try and think logically, rationally, be kind, but also be real. And as yeah.
Kindness is really important. Kindness to yourself and kindness to the person that you're communicating. It's worth its weight in gold, I think.
Yeah. And I suppose the other thing is maybe we can save this for another topic, but about loving yourself enough first to not compromise.
There's a topic for next time, loving yourself enough.
Yeah, loving yourself enough. That'll be the next topic on the next episode. Um, and yeah, I mean, like if you love yourself enough first before you actually be okay with something, thinking, oh, it's fine, oh, it's fine, because sometimes we don't think we're worthy enough. and deserving enough of what we actually need.
Mhm, mhm. You could describe it as like when we fly and the air hostesses put your own mask on before you help others. So if you
Mm,
don't have your own oxygen, how are you gonna give that same oxygen to your family, to your spouse, to your loved ones?
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, I won't talk too much about that because that'll be our next topic. But that'll be a very interesting one, a very deep one, and I think that's quite popular as well. Everyone's on that journey, and we didn't have that on the, the previous generations and stuff. It just wasn't a thing. It's just
Yeah,
you're the woman. It's fine.
yeah. Get on with it.
Put up with it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And sometimes I feel I'm going into that topic now. Sometimes I feel that tries to get put onto this generation.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
When
Because
I was, younger, we did this, so you should do, so she or he should do this now, and it's like it's different world.
yeah,
um
yeah. So going back to our topic of how much do people really think about what they want from life or a companion before they select someone, where do you think that um, that circle could change? Like, what do you think? At what stage could people think, actually, let me look at this? Because even when you do premarital coaching, premarital from an Islamic perspective, on experience
mm.
perspective, by that point, the couple have emotionally connected. That's why they want to get married. So will they be as objective, or will they let a lot of red flags just fly past and just ignore the red flags?
I think a lot of people, by the time they get to that stage, if they're emotionally connected, they're going to ignore everything.
Okay.
I personally feel, that's my opinion. I mean, we can see whoever leaves a comment on here what their thoughts are,
Yeah.
the viewers.
Comment, leave a comment. Be really good to know.
Yeah, leave a comment, get involved in the discussion. And who knows, we can, if you've got any other topics and comments, and we can obviously put that on another episode. But I do feel that by that time, I suppose if you are really logical and can sort of think, actually, hang on. And if you've got two, I suppose, mature people, or you know what I mean, two people that are just like, actually, you know what, maybe. But if if the people are not sort of going to think logically, or be open to hearing advice and understanding enough, then yeah, but then they're just going to carry on, I
I've got
suppose.
a, I've got a flip side to this as well.
Tell me.
Do you think that whoever it is, whether it's the male or the female, that they love the person enough to once they see to make that adjustment? Do you think love is enough to make that adjustment? What's your thoughts on
I'd say respect.
that?
I
Okay.
feel if that person respects the other person enough with love, because again, we mentioned about love, having the respect and trust in the previous episode. If they've got that much respect for the person, and yes, that love, then I suppose that person may be like, okay, actually, I'll adjust this to make this work, and they'll be okay with it. I feel that can happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it can be enough to want to
Good one. It's a good.
yeah.
It's a good way to think. So if your love is true and if your love is strong enough, then maybe you're willing to make those compromises so that it can work between both of you. You know.
Mm.
And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. So, you know,
And alhamdulillah for everything, and alhamdulillah for the things that don't go your way.
yeah, that's it. And it's all, obviously we talk about it all the time. Not a leaf can fall off a tree without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission. So who are we? It's a
Mm.
leaf. It can't fall off a tree. And if you look in autumn, like there's squillions of them. So
It's really deep. It's really deep when you think about it like that. So yeah, let's not let our allow our emotions too much to get ahead of us, and trust the process, and you know figure out what you really need and want, and ask the right questions, and before diving in something and allowing all the, I guess, the emotions and feelings to come through, um really look at it from a different perspective, and do you think it's a good idea to ask questions for, say, there's, like, I know I could think of two really good friends of mine. Moving forward, I've always said, then they've now said, Shaf, we're gonna intervene in here and we're gonna question people, for you. And they know me so well. So do you think it's advisable to maybe get out not outside opinions, but you know what I mean, on the person, because
Mhm,
they're
mhm.
not going to be blind, right?
I do that. I do that all the time. So if someone doesn't meet their match through me, they meet their match at work or outside or at uni. Or even today, I was dealing with someone who's introduced through a friend.
Mm,
Yeah, you know, and it's sort of moving. Families are going to be meeting soon, so he's like, "Where do we go from here?" I'm like, "Your decision. You can." Kind of casually mention it that this might be a good thing if you want to do it. It's obviously not, you're not
mm,
going to coerce or force anybody, but if they think it's a good idea, then yeah. I've done it so many times, being a neutral person to say, I actually think you've picked somebody really good. And I think this
mm.
person really likes you. And now that we've had this chat, they see things from your perspective. So sometimes a professional can be the glue that keeps you together.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, there you go. You've got all the support. um Trying to think if there's, I feel like we've covered quite a bit
We
in
have.
this, yeah, in this episode, and we can
So we'll do a wrap up. So what's your thoughts and feeling as we sort of exit our chat today? What's your sort of key thoughts as we leave this conversation?
to be logical and rational with, when you are meeting someone, to think about it, look at it from like an outside perspective if you can, and really be true and honest to yourself before you allow the emotions and feelings, which is natural. It will happen. It does happen. But
Mhm.
then if you can try and step back and be like, okay, let me just take a breather. Maybe the viewers can listen to this and think, okay, I need to really check in with myself,
Mhm.
reflect, and be like,
Mhm.
okay, looking at it from a different perspective. Okay, I might have emotions or feelings there, but let me look at it from this perspective. Is
Mhm.
this really truly something that I can live with for the rest of my life? You know, are they meeting my actual bigger needs, ignoring the emotion sides, because the emotions will develop anyway, especially if someone's got the needs that you want, you know, those can happen anywhere. Um, yeah, and to don't be afraid to ask,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you know, and if you're not getting the right answers, or not the right answers, but if you're not getting answers, clear cut answers, be honest with yourself.
Mhm.
Don't brush it over and think
Mhm.
that was an answer. Yeah, it's fine. I'll accept that. If there's something you truly you want clarity, it's got to be answered, and that the person that is for you will
Yeah.
give you those answers.
So romance is not enough, basically. The romance is nice, but
They will.
along with the romance, there needs to be, how are we going to get through the next 50 years together? You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've really enjoyed today. Thank you so much for taking the time out, and thank you for everyone for listening. It's been a really great episode.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to this podcast. If you found this beneficial, give this video a like and hit the subscribe button to be notified for the next episode.